Hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup with me, Roisin the Cleric.
And me, Paul Brophy.
Paul, we're down in Cork.
We are indeed, Roisin. We're here at the National Rally, which is taking place here in Cork City, and there's a big crowd here, Roisin. They reckon there's close to 5,000 people at this rally that has been organised here today.
And Paul, it looks like there's even more joining the rally. So we're down here to ask people why, the most important thing, why they're here. What is the purpose and intention of coming to this rally? And the what? What is the reason that they're here for? So we're going to be down here and just reporting from the Cork National Rally here down in Cork.
People are still walking across the bridge. Cheers here now. Lots of cheers. A sea of tricolours of our island's national flag. Of Irish Tricolours. We're staying, Paul and I deliberately stay in the very back. This left about 10 minutes ago, Paul, didn't it?
It did indeed, Roisin, yeah. And I think they're heading down what's called the South Mall, down into Patrick Street and then towards City Hall.
Okay, it seems to be, there's a sea of flags. We'd just like to ask you, why are you here at this rally today?
Well, I think the constituency of people who are on the street today, these group of people, have genuine concerns for their nation and for protecting the sovereignty of our nation and also for protecting our culture, which has come under sustained attacks for centuries. It's miraculous that managed to survive. And now we see a mass movement of people who come from other cultures, and that is okay. But we are not, we're entitled, Ireland is Ireland, and we should not be overwhelmed by huge numbers of immigration, which will push us into a minor or a smaller demographic. That is a very dangerous position. In relation to the politicians who are organising this mass immigration influx of people into our country, their duty is to our nation. It is their responsibility, and they're bloody well paid to look after and to preserve our resources and to manage the affairs of our country for the benefit of our people and our race. From the soil of this country to the sky, and from Mallinhead to Mizenhead, it belongs to the Irish. It always did, and it always will. We did not invade other countries. We did not plunder the resources of other countries. And we are entitled to exist, and our identity is entitled to be preserved, regardless of the treason and the betrayal of the politicians. They have no entitlement to do that, but they do it. And we are strenuously opposed to it.
Thank you so much indeed. Thank you. And it's still coming, and more and more. So we're here with a lovely family, a full must be, is it all the family? Mum, how many children have you got with you?
All my children are here, my grandchildren and my great-grandchild. So there's 4 generations of us here.
And can I ask you, what is the purpose of what brought you here today? Why are you here today?
Well, mainly to get rid of the corrupt government that we have, and all the illegal immigrants. They shouldn't be.
Well, illegal, yes. Immigrants, maybe, if they're here for a better life, but illegal is criminal. And if that was one of us going to someone else's country, we know about it. It's just we're second, third or fourth class citizens in our own country. People can't even get onto the property ladder. I've new news in the last couple of days that the Muslim community now is getting mortgages interest free, so I'm thinking about changing my religion just to see can I get away with it. It's I have 3 kids myself and they're here, my nieces, nephews are here, my mum and dad and my sister-in-law and my brother, and we all feel the same, and everyone there, like the strength is in numbers. You can see all the tricolours today, and it was peaceful, and there was, as far as I can see, there was no violence or anything today, but the media won't say how many was here, unfortunately. But look, it was all good, and we'll get somewhere in the end, but we have to have a bit of patience, I think.
Do you feel and believe that you the Irish people, especially in Cork, are being listened to by the political establishments?
No, absolutely not. Like, they listen to everyone else but the Irish, and that's just. And I'm ashamed to say that I'm from the same county as Micheál Martin. He's an absolute disgrace, and he should be axed from the government as soon as possible. Head his head in shame, and he's out the south side, and my kids are out the south side by his constituency office, and he doesn't even show his face out there anymore because he knows how the local people feel about him, and there's a minority are still on his cronies. That's about it. The truth is that the government is corrupt. They know they're corrupt, but they're actually being led by the EU, and we all know that. So the next thing is follow what the UK did with Brexit, and we need to get out of the EU as soon as possible.
So you think we need to leave the EU?
100%. It's no good. It's no good to us. I think life when I was younger would have been a lot more easier to raise kids. For my parents, it would have been easier to raise kids compared to my generation having to raise kids now. Can't even leave them outside just in case, you know. And it's not about skin colour, race, religion. It's just Ireland is not a safe country anymore, unfortunately. And we're an island, and it's really, really fun.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to the Irish Political Roundup today. And Mammy, what would you be saying to your grandchildren who are here with you today?
Well, lead by example, and there they are holding their flag.
This is their first protest today, and we hope Cork wins tonight.
The very best indeed. Thank you so much for taking the time. Bye-bye. Hello, how are you? I saw you standing here on your own and been observing. So you said to me off air you came here with your sister and
my sister and my daughter.
Your daughter. So may I ask you, what brought you here to the rally here in Cork today?
What brought me was because I just feel enough is enough. That it's everywhere you look, the face of Ireland has changed, and it's been a gradual, and then suddenly it went from a slow trickle to an explosion, and it's just the face of Ireland. Walking down any street is different now, and it's not that I don't feel I'm a racist person. I actually feel there's a need for a certain amount of people in Ireland, but I just feel that it's an explosion. It's too much. We can't cope. I've had both my parents die in recent years. I've seen the hospital system. I've been in and out of it. I've had my father falling off a wheelchair while he went in the ambulance and I followed on. And when I got there, he was actually pushed out into on a wheelchair in the accident and emergency, half falling off of it. So we don't have a system that looks after our own, and I just feel we need to look after our own more. I'm not against helping other people, but I am against to the detriment of helping them to our own people, and that's really why I'm here.
I was talking to my egg man and my potato man, and he wouldn't be in a lot of agreement with me, but he said to me the other day, he says, Roisin, he says, I have a shortage of eggs. And I went, what? He says, we don't, with all the population coming in, we don't have enough food and eggs to go around. Nobody's thinking about the food coming into the country.
Yeah, well, I'm from a farm background, so yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't really have a sensible answer for it. I just feel enough is enough, and that the government is lying. I really feel the government is lying to us. They're telling us these numbers, and I think there's way more. You only need to look on the streets to know there's way more than what we're actually being told. And then, like the waste, the NGOs are giving them all tents. You know what I mean? And the pure waste of that, then they're collected every day, and we're supplying that. We're fools. The rest of Europe and Africa and Syria and whatever, Palestine, they must be laughing at us because we're giving away our own land to strangers, and it's to the detriment of our own people, and our own people are standing by, a lot of them, and they're letting this happen. And so it's just enough is enough. And I mean, I'm a 60-year-old woman, and I feel like, I can't do much, but at least I can be a presence here today. And I just wish there were more middle-class women like me who would come out and say enough is enough. It's not that we're racist or that there's wonderful people working in Ireland, and I absolutely acknowledge that. But it's just we don't have the infrastructure, and our own people are suffering, and so we're helping strangers before we help our own. And I just feel like, as I said, it has to end somewhere. What will happen is people will get very, very angry, and I think it's like the 1916 Rising. They want a blood sacrifice. This government wants another blood sacrifice. They want to see, violence on the street. Why in God's name did they put a Palestinian protest just ahead with banners saying we're all racist? We're not racist. We just feel like there's a limit to how much help we can give to other countries, and we've exceeded that limit. But they organised it. So we have to apply for permission to have a protest, and they organised it so that the two were clashing. I mean, was that deliberate to try? And Micheál Martin called us mutts because we're worried about our own people. Is it wrong to worry about our own people?
And are you from Cork?
I'm a Cork woman, yeah. I'm a Cork woman. I was born in England to Irish parents, Cork mother, and we came back when I was 4. So I know about people going away and working. Nobody got a free ride when they went away from Ireland. You've got all these bleeding hearts saying that Ireland went everywhere around the world. They died everywhere. They worked everywhere. They died on railroads. They died on, building railway lines. Nobody gave them free housing, free medical. They didn't translate it into 8 languages. languages and send out a message, come to America, come to England, and we'll give you free housing, free medical. You know, they didn't do that for the Irish. The Irish then went and they worked hard. And now what we're doing is we're sending our young children abroad because they won't accept the lower standard. We're taking in cheap labour from abroad, but that cheap labour only lasts, I mean, if the government think that's what they want, that doesn't last very long. You know, their prices go up and up. You know, so we're not looking after our own, really. You know.
And do you think there should be, as a consequence now, greater controls on immigration, be it both those looking to come into the country legally, and those looking to seek asylum?
I think there should be a limit on the number of people seeking asylum. I just think the whole thing should be monitored and controlled way better. It's just the numbers are too high. They're just way too high. Ireland did need an influx of people, but we've had to, you know, it's way too big now. It's just way too big, you know. And the government is doing nothing except the people in Ireland who have genuine concerns, they're just calling us nuts. Yeah. That's what the government is doing instead of addressing the problem.
And do you think the EU has a lot to answer for here as well with the current situation in Ireland?
I think they've contributed to it, but I'm not knowledgeable enough, you know, to really. I do think that they've contributed to it. Yeah. This is my daughter.
Hello, we're just doing an interview as to why you came today, why you thought it was important to come today, especially in the rain. Would you like to add a few words? Your mother has been very eloquent in what she said. So for you as a young woman, you know, what made you come here today?
Oh God, I feel like I've been put in the spot.
No. Well, auntie or mammy, would you?
I'll leave my aunt to it.
No, young person's opinion. Young person's opinion, yeah.
I suppose to support Irish people and to support to right to education, to medicine, to the access that we're not getting, and even for social housing, to prioritise housing our own rather than immigrants. We have loads of Irish people who are on the streets, so that's, yeah.
And even you mentioned medicine, even on the postgrad medicine, to try and get even into medicine is hard with the GAMSTAT and the HPAT, and then getting in and sustaining it, and then getting jobs, and then many
having to immigrate. Once you're qualified, yeah.
My daughter did. She's back. She only arrived back last week from Melbourne working, so she's starting back in UCH this week. So
she's able to come back now.
She's back, thank God.
Okay, that's brilliant,
thank God, yeah.
But it is, it's like you're educating our own to leave, which is heartbreaking. Like,
well, we've got a nephew who's come back from America. My brother came back and he's building a house and he's settled here, and basically his son is going to university. He's half Irish. His father was Irish. His father went away because he couldn't get work here. But he's come back now, retired, and his child has to pay a foreign fee to go to college. So Irish children pay
3,000.
He has to pay 10,000, even though he's an Irish child
and has an Irish passport.
And has an Irish passport, has an Irish PRSI number, but he still has to pay 10,000. He's an Irish child, born of an Irish person,
with a PRSI number,
a returning person who went away because they couldn't get work in Ireland. And this is how we treat our own. But yet, if he came in, if he was a foreign national seeking asylum, he'd probably have all that paid, I'd imagine.
And
you know?
They did work here. Like his family worked here. His father did pay taxes in the past, and it's just wrong. It's so wrong.
Yeah, our own go away. If they come back, they're treated lesser than immigrants coming into the country. We treat our own lesser, and that's, you know,
it's just for me it's so destroying to see the government looking after foreigners and not looking after Irish people. The healthcare is like, why is all this money going on foreigners who haven't contributed, who haven't paid taxes, when we've elderly people in desperate conditions waiting on trolleys, the nursing care, and like it's foreigners who won't contribute, who will take the money out of Ireland, will work here for a few years,
send it on Western Union back to wherever.
And we'll take it away. That's the healthcare as a person getting older is my main concern. If you overload a ship, it sinks, and this ship is being overloaded. People who were saying that we went all over the world, we immigrated, and we were welcome.
we were never welcome, and when we did go, we worked really, really hard. I've spent my life, I've been in other countries. I've been in the Czech Republic, I've been in India, I've been in America. I wasn't welcome. I was vetted, I was guard checked by their police. You can't just go into their country without going through formalities, signing forms. You can't do that. And like in the Czech Republic, I had to sign a form saying I would not take from their social welfare. I had absolutely no intention of doing it. But like here, we welcome them. And I'm not saying we shouldn't welcome genuine refugees, but we cannot afford financial refugees, not when we don't have the infrastructure. And that's my issue.
And there's another issue too, and it started off with a couple of years ago about any woman who fought or voted no or mentioned the no referendums. We were far right, and I was one of them women, and I was a marshal at the Let Women Speak in Dublin, and we've been labelled far right, which is a narrative. What's your opinion on that narrative?
I'm not far right. I just believe in human rights.
And what is your opinion on was it the Social Democrats, Paul, and the Labour Party?
Oh,
They wanted to take away the prayer from Dáil Éireann.
It's your right to pray. It's like you have a right to publicly pray. You can't force it on somebody else, but you do have that right. And they're targeting Christians more than any other faith. Let's be realistic about it.
Would they tell Muslim people that they haven't got the right to pray? No, they're attacking the Christian people. We're seen as a weaker group because we don't stand up for ourselves. And today is part of standing up for ourselves. And it's not that we don't want to help other people, but it's that we want to look after our own people first,
There also has to be limitations. Like charities don't just give out, there's limits with charities. There should be limits with the government giving out things as well. It's the same, there just has to be limitations.
The Enoch Burke situation for me is really, really sad. I mean, this man has been stripped of his livelihood because he holds Christian values. And I think our legal system has failed him and failed that family completely. I think there's an awful lot of people who support the Burkes, and this isn't coming out. This isn't, there's a lot of Christian values out there. The government have hounded and harassed that family, and the legal system in Ireland has as well. It needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Get in frame, we have everything.
Hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup. We are with
Independent Councillor on Dublin City Council, Malachy Stevenson. Malachy, you've come to the second city.
Down to the Rebel County.
The Rebel County. You must have been pleased with the attendance you had today.
Great crowd here today, and each protest we have in different areas, the numbers grow and grow, and we're reaching critical mass now. 50,000 people in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, 5,000 people here today. People are now standing up because they see other people standing up. They know what's right, and they know that this country is not being run for the benefit of its people, and they want to change that.
We've been doing an awful lot of vox pops and audio, so not to have people on the video, and they're more open to actually having an audio interview. And especially because nobody wants to be labelled far right. Is this a narrative that the liberal and left have come up with to silence people?
Oh, they have, definitely. But I think we have successfully neutralised that now, because all of these labels that they put on us are totally meaningless now. Because calling somebody, when they started that in East Wall 2.5 years ago, November 2022, calling people fascist and far right, they were literally saying to people in East Wall, you're a fascist, you're far right, and they were turning around and saying that they had a grandchild, say, with mixed nationalities, so they weren't racist. We could just hold that. I just have to do this one here, so I'll just come back to you now.
Yeah, no problem. And unfortunately, Roisin, for some unknown reason, our mics stopped working after we interviewed Councillor Malachy Stevenson at the rally in Cork, which was disappointing. But in the video here, Roisin, we're talking to a gentleman called Kevin Porsobic.
We are indeed, Paul. And Kevin Porsobic is a reporter with Real America's Voice. And he's also, which is really interesting, was the gentleman that came up with the term of Gulf of America. And that's what stuck. And he's also the brother of Mark Porsobic, who is the journalist with Steve Bannon on Real America's Voices and The War Room.
Yeah, and actually he was Kevin was interviewing Malachy for The War Room. He was doing a live feed to Steve Bannon at the time when we were at the rally in Cork. But we certainly hope to get to speak to Malachy Steenson and a number of different people at the next rally, which is happening in Dublin.
And would you believe, Paul, when I was went back and studied my media and PR course, in our media studies, we were actually were studying Steve Bannon.
Right.
And so that was really interesting that we were there, and Steve Bannon was on with Kevin Porsobic, and that Malachy Stevenson was being interviewed with him while we were there, because it was it wasn't planned. We didn't even know who Kevin was, and it was just when we were waiting for Councillor Malachy Stevenson to finish the interview. And when he was on the interview, I said, "Paul, he's on with Steve Bannon."
Yeah, and it was like a textbook come to life for you, I'd imagine, Roshan, because Steve Bannon would have been known through Bright Media, and of course he was one of the main advisors to Donald Trump in his first term as President of the United States.
He has some, I was looking him up on Wikipedia, Paul. He has some. The Wikipedia is so long, it's the longest Wikipedia I've ever researched on anyone. And I'll come back to another time. He has done so much from he was also an officer in the American Navy. Then he came and then he was an investment banker. Then he went to California, and he was a producer and financial investor. And then he's done so much. I mean, you wonder, my God, this gentleman has so much experience and wisdom and knowledge. And it's interesting to see, it'd be very interesting to actually, what he's doing and everything else. I just think he's a very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is, and you have to give him huge credit, having such a varied career and being able to, help shape a narrative that got Donald Trump elected with. So there's, you can't have any more higher praise than that.
Well, it's very interesting, and it's really interesting that Kevin is Mark's brother, and that Kevin was over here for this, and on the video that he was talking to Councillor Malachy Stevenson, that he gave his word that he will send Kevin Porsobic back over for the rally on Sunday.
Yep.
The 22nd of, I got that date right?
Yeah, you're right.
22nd of June. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's starting at the Garden of Remembrance. The last one was on the 26th of April. They had in excess of like 50,000, if I'm correct. So they'll be hoping to, have a bigger turnout this time.
Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to have the sound for this video, and as you can see now that he's actually showing us the Steve Bannon War Room, and so he's a really interesting guy, really nice guy.
He is, yeah.
Really nice guy, and so it's really nice. It's not nice just to go and meet different people when we go out and about, Paul.
Absolutely, and it was great we met a whole range of different people with, and it was great to find out why they were coming to a rally like this. As you say, Roshan, we're here to tell the political story and let people make up their own minds from there.
Well, I think people have to, I think the one thing that we do, Paul, here on the Irish Political Roundup, as we said from the moment when we came up with the idea, that it was to tell the political story in an unbiased manner for people to make up their own mind, use critical thinking, and also to actually, when the mainstream media are not, they're becoming more opinionated media, and journalists are having opinionated. They're not having a balanced panel discussion or guess. So and one thing that we've always done is we love giving people who wouldn't ordinarily get on the mainstream media and media platform. And now we can see that you're interviewing Councillor Malachy Stevenson and his lovely wife Mary.
Yeah,
I thought she was lovely.
She was. As they say, behind every great man, there's a better woman. There's a better woman. So she's definitely is a massive support to her husband Malachy from what I can see, and you know he has done a fair bit over the last number of years to kind of build this movement that is here, and it is having an impact. I feel anyway.
Well, I was watching the media today, and they were all saying, that the again calling it the far right, and saying that it's growing legs. Well, the media have nobody blame but themselves. The mainstream media. You have to give people a voice. You have to listen to what the ordinary people are saying. Yeah. That's a democracy, and media is telling the story, giving different people a platform to say what they're thinking and what they're feeling and what they're experiencing, and that's not happening on the mainstream media. And we've been out and about interviewing local county councillors. So Councillor Malachy Stevenson is a democratically elected county councillor.
Absolutely, he is, and he was unfortunate that had circumstances been different, he could have got elected to the Dáil, but he said when the next election does roll around, which they said the latest it can happen is January 2030, but I be the opinion, I'm sure you'll be the same, Roisin, that it'll be much sooner than that, but I'd say he'll definitely be on the ballot there in Dublin Central, and he'll definitely be well in the hunt to win a seat.
Well, Paul, I think it's going to be very interesting now because really who can lead the country? Labour Party, they had the opportunity and they refused to go into government at this time. Sinn Féin had the mandate in 2020 and they didn't go in. Yep. And then many people would say that they were controlled opposition. There was no opposition for the last 4 years. No opposition. And there is, so who can lead the government? Who can lead the country? And I believe that Ireland is in a constant state of crisis in every department, every area of life, in every situation, from housing to the water, to education, to health, to people living with disabilities, to the child trafficking and for sexual exploitation, not just for Tusla, but also Ireland was on Tier 2 of the Child Trafficking Act. And Paul, we covered a video on that.
We did.
And when I was on local radio, I could not get anyone to talk about that. No, everybody refused to talk about it. And we could only get people to come on with that one video. That's in, and we'll put a link to the description box. Then you have everything from education. You have everything. We have a cost of living crisis. We are the second most expensive country.
Yeah, I saw that there today. Yeah, the second most expensive. That is shocking.
And when you think about it, they say over 100% employment. 100% employment. But when you've got doctors, lawyers, and top professional people in the cohort in the country who cannot afford to even rent a room in a house. People they may have 100% employment, but the cost of living, no one can afford to live.
Yeah, it's if you have with high cost of living, how can you have any value, quality of life?
Well, we are living in a constant crisis, and I think maybe the government, they're probably doing. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I think there's so much going on behind the scenes, and hopefully for democracy, hopefully to bring back some sense of order and stability back in the country. Can we afford a general election? No, but I don't know how. They must be going to create something out of the bag to actually cause and create more stability. Maybe it has to get rocky before it gets maybe it has to all just get so rocky that and the pendulum is swinging from left to right. Maybe the pendulum has to go both ways, then to come in the middle where we have stability again. And common sense politics, common sense business, common sense culture back into our communities again.
Absolutely. And I think the ultimate goal, Roisin, as we said, second most expensive country in Europe. The government has to do something about that. That's not sustainable. If people can't afford to live, they're not living at all.
Well, is any politician listening to the people? Is any political party listening to grassroots? Are they listening to the people? I think that it's so obvious that that the people as voices, and this is why we were here today. And they said that there were 5,000 we've mentioned in this.
Yeah.
Well, I would say there's an awful lot more than 5,000. So if people are actually, there's people on this rally, Paul, who said that they've never went to a protest before in their life, but they've had enough of their voices not being heard. They're not being valued as citizens, regardless of everything. And some people even said it was just down the cost of living crisis. It was the children were emigrating crisis. I mean, because the children couldn't get the jobs, they couldn't get the teachers, the doctors. There's even the guys here are leaving the guys and going to the Australian police. Right. And so we have to bring back. And what was it? We were talking to Councillor in Tipperary.
Oh,
Jim Ryan, and he said we were in the conversation about the Minister for Health, Jennifer Callan McNeil, should be going and asking all the medical professionals what would bring you back to Ireland. What would it take to bring you all back? Because we have a crisis in the health service, in the HSE. My daughter's a doctor. I'm glad she came back, and she's back now after spending a year in Melbourne. My prayers and Navina all worked.
Yeah, it's great to have her back working in the Irish health system.
And also, Paul, while we're talking about this, and again, we're talking over the video because for some unknown reason, the sound just ended. When Malachy stopped our interview and went to speak to Steve Bannon in the war room. And that is the reason why we're talking over the video. It's not out of rudeness, and we're not silencing him or anything.
Absolutely not.
But we have to, even this week, last week, Paul, or was it this week? Everything's happening so fast that you had News Talk presenters saying about any house that has a tricolour is assumed far right. My son's in the Irish Defence Force, and my son wears the tricolour on his left arm
every day,
closest to the heart, on his uniform. It was the biggest insult. News Talk took down that video. I think News Talk need to give the citizens of Ireland a public apology.
Exactly, and they need less opinion-based journalists.
Well, you see, it's all journalists are there to report. Journalism, the first exam question in journalism is, what is the role and function of the media? And that answer is to call the government and politicians into account and report the news in an unbiased manner. And probably a lot more, but they're the core principles. And I think the media have caused an awful lot of the silencing people by referring to people who are proud to have the Irish flag as far right. I am certainly not far right. No. You're not far right. No. How many 6,000 men and women in the Irish Defence Forces are not far right?
Absolutely. The Irish flag, it belongs to everybody, every Irish citizen. So anyone flying an Irish flag now is not far right.
I left the North Pole. I could not be proud or say that I was my nationality was Irish. I could not say that or hold a tricolour or even a badge or anything in the North. Now I come down here and I can't. I'm being told that it's far right to actually have a tricolour.
Crazy.
Well, I think I really loved, we're coming to the end, I really loved the interview with Mary and Malachy. And just before this, we mentioned about, that it was a teamwork that they did, and you saw Malachy stroke his wife's back. You could really see the affection and between the two of them, and I thought that was lovely.
Yeah, I'd say they are very, very united, and I'd say fairness to Malachy, it can be difficult to take sometimes the stances that he has taken, but he is stuck by his guns and his wife is stuck by him as well. So they both definitely have backbone.
Well, you know what? You don't mind about politics as long as people live to their values and believe what they're saying. And this is Kevin Pasovic and myself with Malachy Simpson. So thank you so much indeed. Again, million apologies regarding the sound.